result.
He's Bela Karolyi. He is gymnastics. His legacy spans the world. Mary Lou. Nadia. Bela made her and his homeland a world power. Romania. It was here in the 70s that he founded the most dominant gymnastics school in the world. Without Bela, a new generation continues that tradition. In nearly 20 years, the Romanian team has not been beaten by the United States. Today, their number one, Cristina Bontaș, will try to sweep away the American challenge. The rebuilt Romanians are again ready to rebuff the U.S. American hopes rest with national champion Kim Zmeskal. At 15, one of the latest Karolyi sensations. But today, the U.S. is without one of its brightest Karolyi stars, Betty Okino. The U.S. versus Romania, a test of America's place among the world elite. We're live from Hofheinz Pavilion on the campus of the University of Houston. This international challenge, the United States gymnastics women against the team from Romania. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this precursor to the 1992 Olympic Games. Bela Karolyi, who had built a power in Romania and now is the top gymnastic coach in the United States, says this is the best U.S. women's team ever. Potentially, they belong not only with the Romanians, but maybe the omnipotent Soviets. We're going to find out today whether or not those predictions have any validity. And how about the Romanians now with their newfound liberty after the revolution? How will that impact this team of Romanian girls? Will they follow in the great tradition built by Karolyi? Well, we'll get some of the answers today, and to help us along the way, Olympic gold medalist in 1984, Julianne McNamara. We welcome you. And how about this American team? How would they rate with the 84 girls?
Well, I think the true test of a team is when they're faced with injuries. And in the past, when the women's United States team has been faced with injuries, they have not had the depth to fill those holes. Well, now we do with a couple of newcomers, 13-year-old Hillary Grivich and 13-year-old Carrie Strug, who we'll see here today.
Strug and Grivich, only 13 years of age. They will be eligible, however, for the Olympics because the qualifying age is 15. Next year, they'll both be 15 within that year. How about the Romanians, then? How do you compare them? You've been watching them all week long.
Well, there's been a lot of speculation about how the revolution has affected the Romanian gymnastics. And from what we've seen, they have weakened themselves in terms of depth. And minutes ago, we saw the top Romanian gymnast, Cristina Bontaș, have a disastrous fall from the uneven parallel bars. It started with a release move into another release move, and she just peeled off the bars. That's going to completely take her out of the individual competition, and we're going to have to see how that affects them in the team standings.
Now, there'll be both individual and team awards made. We might point out to you there were through two rotations live here. We have two to go, and the United States is in the lead, and individually, Kim Zmeskal, the sensational 15-year-old from the Karolyi camp, is in the individual lead. But on the darker side today, there is a note that isn't so positive. The young woman that you saw and cheered in Orlando a couple of months ago, Betty Okino, and here she is with her first ever perfect 10 in international competition in the vault. And this 10 and other outstanding scores led Okino to the all-around championship. In fact, she broke the record set by Nadia Comaneci in 1976. Okino suffered a hamstring injury during the course of training this week, and she will not be able to compete today. And with more on that story, let's go down to the floor and Olympic champion Tim Daggett.
Well, thank you, Dick. That's right. Betty Okino has been the dominant force in American gymnastics this entire year. She is, of course, out with a hamstring pull. You know, Betty, when I was competing, as soon as I got hurt, my first reaction was always that it's no problem. I'll be in the competition. No problem. Is that what you felt?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I've had other injuries before, and I just left them alone and did some therapy for it. I never took off, and they got better by themselves, and I thought that's how it'd be with this.
Well, you know, after the injury happened, we had heard that you went through the next day 6 perfect beam routines, 9 perfect bar routines. When did you know that things just weren't going to happen for this competition?
It was the morning after that when I woke up. I got out of bed and I couldn't walk. It was hurting me to walk, and after that I went to work out thinking that maybe it was going to go away, and I couldn't do anything.
All righty. Well, good luck to you in your comeback here. Back to Dick.
And, of course, Betty Aquino with the national championships just a couple of months away in Cincinnati, not wanting to aggravate that injury. Here in the standings after 2 rotations, 2 to go. Kim Zmesko, the national champion, in the lead. Eugenia Popa of Romania is second. Carrie Strug, a brilliant young lady at 13, is in third place. And Gabriela Agaki from Romania is fourth. That's the individual all-around standings. And there is Carrie Strug. Bella Caroli feels she has the kind of Mary Lou Retton power. The team standings, the United States after 2 rotations in front of Romania. It's a bit confusing. There are only 3 judges, so you're going to get some very odd mathematical scores, as well as the fact that with a split in the rotations, we'll come down to the final floor and vaults before we can really give you a definitive score.
The balance beam is not one of Carrie's strongest events. So coming into this event in 3rd place, she's going to need to hit this routine. That was a beautiful back handspring into a back layout. Carrie has the tightness and the squareness over the balance beam, but she needs to relax her arms a little bit. The back tuck swing down into a back roll. Carrie setting up for her dismount will be a round-off double backflip. So far, she's looked real good.
Touchdown with a hand. How much will that hurt her?
That will be a few tenths, and that is going to hurt her in the all-around standings.
Carrie Strug, 13 years old, from Tucson, Arizona. She joined Caroli just 4 months ago.
Here's where her problem on the dismount began, on the landing right here. She was a little bit in front of her hips and touched that hand.
And we'll continue live. United States, Romania, the International Challenge. A little disheartened by her dismount and failure on the landing, although in a strong position coming into the 3rd rotation. She started with Jim Gold, the gymnastic coach at the University of Arizona, and then transferred here to the Caroli camp. She has just been on the junior national team 1 year, but because the USGF allows juniors to compete this year, because there'll be 15 in Barcelona, she's actually here with the senior team. 3 judges, 1 from Romania, 1 from the United States. So the judging will be as fair as you'll ever see in an international meet.
Well, it's taking an awful long time for them to post the score of Carrie Strug. It seems that there must be a discrepancy in the scores of the judges. If they're not in line, then the superior judge comes in and oversees what the scores.
9.466, so that is a disappointing score for Strug. And we move ahead now to Labim and the Romanian Nicolita.
And this is a great event for the Romanian team. They are traditionally been a very strong power on the balance beam. Marie is going to set up here for a flip-flop, layout back into another layout back. You'll see a lot of the gymnasts performing this here today. Right over the top. Beautiful. Nicolita has a large load on her shoulders right now. With the fall that Bontage had earlier, she's the #2 gymnast. She has to carry this team in order to get a victory here. Set up here for her dismount, a round off, double back, tuck off. So far, she's had a very smooth exercise.
Well, her idol, Katerina Zabo, remember the woman from Romania who won the gold medal in '84 on the beam. Daisy is her nickname, named after a Romanian cartoon character. The common denominator here today is Bela Karolyi, and 4 of the 6 United States girls are his, and of course Aquino is sidelined. Age 50, he's one of a kind in his sport, a living legend in 2 countries. Romania School of Athletic Programs. When Bela Karolyi started it after the 1976 Olympics, the tiny Transylvanian town of Deva became the capital of gymnastics. Bela no longer walks these halls, but the Karolyi influence still reverberates strongly. The children of Romania, some as young as 4 or 5, are selected to come here to live, to train, to dream of becoming the next gymnastics legend. 700 students in all, their tuition paid by the state. Even in the toughest of these times, a premium in Romania placed on national champions. The most famous, Nadia Comaneci, Bela's perfect 10 Olympic champion. 1981, 10 years ago, almost to the day, in a New York hotel, Bela boldly decided to leave her and his homeland. He defected to the U.S.
As soon as we walked out from the hotel, and I looked back, and I said, why I'm doing this? Why I'm doing this? Where I'm going now? You might understand 40 years of very sturdy and very secure life. The only thing that socialism gave to the people, that was the security of tomorrow. Never you had to worry. Your salary went going, no matter you went working, good or bad, your salary came by just like mandatory. So this feeling, which was the security, is suddenly gone. So I looked around and what I'm going to do next?
Now an American citizen, he's riding the range. This may be the only serious Romanian cowboy in all of Texas.
Good boy. Good boy. Good. Good boy.
In the morning, everything is fine. It is fine with you? Okay.
Good morning, guys. How's it going? Good boy, now. Good boy, Gorby. Oh, that's it. Come on, Gorby.
Bela came to the Houston area almost penniless. He now has a ranch, 2 homes, 2 training facilities worth millions.
America still end up opportunity, but the opportunity only for those ones who gonna come down to work, to build, to contribute, to provide services, then get the retribution.
This is where Bela provides his extraordinary service, the gym. He produces champions. And you can credit his work ethic, or credit his understanding of the sport, credit his compassion, or just listen to the credit he earns.
But he's also one of the best motivators I've ever seen. He'll get you in a competition, you know, and he'll start massaging your shoulders, and he's going, can you do it? Yes, you can do it. And, you know, he just puts this fire inside of you that just really gives you the confidence to say, yeah, I can do it. If Bela thinks I can do it, I can do it.
And his pupils know when you do it, you get what only Bela can give.
That business study. All right.
My heart is just up and blowing, you know, from the happiness. The same I'm sharing the sourness of the defeat along with them. And I don't like it. I hate it. I'm a bad loser. But with all these things together, I have to tell, you know, I'm part of that performance. And I feel it, and I don't want to hide it.
Some people
they don't like his enthusiasm and how he's really pushy like other coaches, because he seems to always produce the best gymnasts and they get jealous of him.
I honestly believe Bella's probably the greatest coach in the world. I mean, anyone who can produce Nadia Comaneci, Mary Lou Retton, Phoebe Mills, the kids that he's produced, let's give him credit. The only thing I think we all get tired of is the amount of media that's generated, even in times when he's not on top.
I challenge the whole athletic community in gymnastics, in women's gymnastics in this country. And the ones who wanted to take it, they came along, and they produced good gymnasts, and they produced good athletes, and they took it further and further our gymnastic program. The ones who've been raising hell, they gone with the wind.
Many of his serious critics are gone to the wind, while this giant of gymnastics rides on. And tall in the saddle indeed, his impact on gymnastics in the United States, profound. No one in the history of this sport has accomplished what this man has done. And his champion list continues. The current national champion, Kim Zmeskal. As you can see, only 15, a native of Houston, born and raised here. And she's off to a torrid start after 2 of the 4 rotations. Let's go back to the beam and Maria Daisy Nicolita's score, 9.90. The beam has long been a strength of the Romanians. They won 4 straight Olympic individual events, and Nicolita strong today. Now it's Zmeskal on the beam.
Well, this event is what we call the psych event, and that's because this event can make or break a team and make or break an individual. Kim's big skill coming up is a back handspring into a back layout, back layout. It's the same skill you see most of the gymnasts performing here. Perfect. Kim's setting up here for a move, a back tuck swing down. She's had some problems with in the past. That was the best I've ever seen Kim do that move. Right over the top. Good transition. She's setting up here for a double back dismount. She's had an incredible routine so far, and she looks like our leader thus far.
Kim Zmeskal, a little hop on the landing, but solid indeed. The Karoli kid, Kim Zmeskal.
Updating you on some sports on the floor exercise. Shelley Stack from the United States.
Here's that flip-flop into a back layout, back layout. Notice how over the top she is, hips perfectly straight.
The leader going into that 3rd rotation, and the score for Zmeskal we'll give to you, but it would appear she'll stay in the top spot. 3, that is the best score for any of the competitors on the beam, including the top Romanians, and that will keep her in first place with only the floor exercise to go, and that is her top event. And Mary Lou Retton, the honorary USA captain here today, involved in the congratulations after that beam effort. And now for the Romanians on the floor, Christina. No, it is not Christina. This is Popa, Eugenia Popa. She's wearing a wrap to protect a calf muscle injury.
Watch this first tumbling on. It's a double back right into immediate punch front. Something different you don't usually see. Well done. That is a good, solid performance to contribute to their team standing.
Eugenia Popa, she's 17, from a talented athletic family in Bucharest.
This is a beautiful pass to watch. It's a layout backflip with a double twist right into immediate punch front. And it's nice to see a different tumbling pass. Right there.
Her 19-year-old sister is an aspiring Olympian in shooting. One sister is a sprinter in track, and another an outstanding volleyball player. Eugenia Popa. And next up for Romania, Gabriela Agati, 15 years old, and one of the very promising young Romanians.
And this is a crucial event for the Romanians. Like I said, they've got to hit here. That was a beautiful round-off flip-flop mount into immediate layout backflip. A little bottle ball on the end, which will cost her a few tenths. But because of the difficulty, that will be taken into consideration. The next move she must hit is a round-off pike back. Great. The Romanians as a team have always been very solid on this event. The only thing left here for her to do is to stick her double tuck.
Gabriela Agaki, promising junior. Following in the tradition, Nadia Comaneci won the gold medal in the Olympics in 76 and 80, and then Pauka and Szabo shared it in 84 against your team, Julianne, and then again a win in 88 in Seoul.
Did you know that
the beam right through the ranks of the Romanian team? And next up on the beam for the United States, 14-year-old Shannon Miller from Edmond, Oklahoma, the daughter of Central State of Oklahoma physics professor in Edmond. She's an 8th grade honors student.
Shannon Miller's beam routine is world-class all the way. Her routine is packed with difficulty. She'll start off with a move, a back extension into a flip-flop layout, a very unique skill. Right here. Beautiful. Shannon's only actually just turned 14 years old. Last year was her first year on the senior national team. She's setting up for another difficult move here. Flip-flop, layout into an immediate flip-flop, a change from what you usually see right there. She is incredible on this event.
That's only 4 inches wide, that beam. She treats it as if it's the freeway going from Houston to Texas, to Dallas.
She has the most difficult beam routine in this competition, and one of the most in the world. She's going to set up here for her dismount, which is a full twisting double back off the beam. She was the first American gymnast to compete this dismount. Beautiful job.
Coached by Steve Nuno, a Caroli disciple with the Dynamo Gymnastics in Oklahoma City, Shannon Miller.
The dismount that she performs is so difficult. Most gymnasts do a double back. She adds a full twist on the first flip. Right there, full twist into a double back. One step on the landing, but you've got to take that into consideration on such a difficult dismount.
Look at those dimples. 66-pound gymnastic pencil, Shannon Miller. While we wait for Shannon's score, let's go down to Tim Daggett.
Well, thank you, Dick. I'm here with one of the most famous gymnasts in the history, Mary Lou Retton. Mary Lou, these girls, they're so tiny, they're so little. How do they compare to the team in 1984?
I think this is one of the strongest teams that we've had since 1984. Depth, I mean, they're young, they're strong, they're explosive, powerful. This is a close competition. Woo!
I tell you, 6 years, Mary Lou, 6 years since we've won our gold medal. You watch these little girls, does it make you feel just a little bit old?
Oh, Tim, it makes you feel like a grandmother. I mean, I thought I was little. These girls are tiny, and they're so strong. I'm real happy with them.
Thank you very much, Mary Lou. Back to Dick.
And the cheering in the background for Shannon Miller. That's the top score of this event thus far, 9.95. She takes the lead in the balance beam with only the number 1, Christina Bontash of Romania to go. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
Tonight stands back.
Monday at 8 on Channel 4.
We're back in Houston. We're waiting live for Christina Bontash, Romania's number 1 on the beam. The level of competition has been world-class, and ironically, Bontash with the only major error thus far.
Well, her problems began on a Ginger release move. She went into another release move, and she just peeled off the bars.
And that may have cost her any chance for the top 3 positions in the individual competition, but fighting now for the Romanian team. She is the last to compete on the balance beam. The best score thus far by Shannon Miller of the United States, 9.95. Bontash, this is her strength.
And watch this mount, a round-off flip-flop mount into immediate flip-flop, layout. Great. That is so difficult, and that is what we used to see a lot of. Difficult mounts, tumbling out of the mounts. We don't see a lot of that anymore. She's got a difficult move coming up, back handspring into a pike back. And I know she's up there fighting for every 10th of a point. So far, she's doing a very smooth and solid beam routine.
Same hometown as Comenici, Onesti. Naturally, her idol is Nadia, has coached her.
She's going to set up for a round-off, flip-flop, double-back dismount. And Christina is out of the individual race, but the name of the game here is the team. And she's going to fight for every 10th, fight for that landing. Very nice routine. She had a couple of breaks, which should cost a couple of tenths.
It's interesting that as you look at that mount, which she started with tremendous strength, didn't she?
This is such a difficult mount. She goes giant flip-flop onto the beam into a back layout, which is a combination of what we've seen earlier today.
Give us some historical perspective. Nadia Comenici do anything that difficult?
No, she didn't. In fact, I think our first U.S. gymnast to compete that was Tracy Talavera, and she made that a signature in her balance beam routine.
You know, Nadia told Bontash, she said, 3 things to remember: work hard, trust the coach, and consider the competition your holiday. And I guess that is true. And now the score, 9.95, so that equals Shannon Miller. Miller and Bontash share the balance beam high score. And now let's go down to the floor. And young Hillary Grivich, only 13 years, a bundle of young muscle, and she is having a tremendous competition.
She has definitely been a crowd favorite here today. She's going to open with a common tumbling pass, a full twisting double back.
This is her final rotation.
She had a little trouble on the landing there. a 1.5 twist through to a double twist. Definitely a bright hope at only 13 years of age.
From Huntsville, Texas, Hillary Gribbage. She'll be 14 next month.
This is the way this tumbling pass should be done. She does a laid-out backflip with 1.5 twists, immediate step out into a double full twist. Look at the height and a perfect landing.
She's from nearby Huntsville, Texas. Her parents have a landscaping company here in Houston. Oh, she is a bright prospect. Remember that name, Hillary Gribbage. And, boy, we can add in the team score after the bars and beam. The Romanian team has taken a slight lead over the United States. And now we wait for Gribbage's score. 9.883 for Gribbage. Well done. We'll continue our live coverage of this international challenge, United States and Romania. Romania with a slight lead, but first to Prudential Update Studios and Ahmad Rashad.
Thank you, Dick. Now, it's been almost 19 years since an alternate on the Soviet Olympic team set the gymnastics world on fire. Coming up next, we'll get an update on Olga Korbut. It's coming up right after these messages. Pound 17-year-old captured the hearts of the world by winning the floor exercise and the balance beam while leading her Soviet team to the all-around gold medal at the Munich Olympics. As a result of her performance, Olga Korbut was given credit for making gymnastics popular around the world. Now she's back in the headlines, but it's not because of gymnastics. April 28, 1986, nearly 5 years ago, the most serious accident in the history of nuclear energy happened at the Chernobyl power plant in the Soviet Union. Olga Korbut was living in Minsk, an industrial town 180 miles northwest of Chernobyl. The cheerful pigtailed gymnast that audiences fell in love with during the 72 Munich Olympics eventually began to suffer from mild exhaustion and a thyroid problem. Korbut and her husband recently joined their son, who was sent to New Jersey to live with friends in order to escape the possible effects of further radiation exposure. Earlier this week, with lingering concern over the effects of radiation, Korbut and family traveled to Seattle.
Frankly, I myself, I didn't feel any symptoms. I didn't feel any discomfort, neither me nor members of my family. But after what I've seen there, living all the time in that atmosphere in Minsk and the area surrounding Chernobyl, made me suspicious, and I've been just worrying all the time that maybe something is wrong with me.
While Korbut suffers from exhaustion, the examination found no signs of serious illness.
In finding and asking the hard questions, are there late effects, are there difficulties related to that, you can take away many of the problems by saying, yes, these things were investigated, and no, there are no immediate evidence of radiation-induced serious disorders.
With a clean bill of health, Korbut now focuses on aiding victims of the Chernobyl disaster with the newly founded Olga Korbut Foundation.
I think that together we can help those desperate people in Belarus who are suffering very much after the disaster there.
Olga Korbut now lives in southern New Jersey. She teaches gymnastics, and she's considering becoming a gymnastics judge. But her stay in the United States is only temporary. She will someday return to Minsk to further assist those still suffering from the Chernobyl disaster. And we'll return to Houston for more gymnastics right after these messages.
Now start, Rich. Standings. Individual standings here at Hofheinz read this way. Kim Zemeskal is in first place, the United States. Popa of Romania is second. Shannon Miller, with that excellent beam routine, moves into third, and Nicolita of Romania is fourth. The Romanians, after 2 rotations, have a fractional lead over the United States, Julianne McNamara.
Well, there's been some surprises. Bontage had the early fall that opened the door for the United States, but we've had our problems with consistency also, especially on the floor exercise.
Indeed. In fact, the Romanian lead is even bigger than it might appear after 2 rotations, because on the 3rd rotation, a couple of U.S. mistakes on the floor. With that, let's go to Tim Daggett.
That's right, Dick, and the key there is a couple. Remember, every time you do a routine, every time there's the 6 events, okay, you're dropping one of those scores. We had 2 major errors in the floor exercise with both Kim Kelly and Shelley Stack, both of them falling badly. Let's take a look at Kim Kelly. This is a very interesting and difficult tumbling pass. She'll do a 1.5 twist through to a double full and is just totally off balance here. Watch. She'll stumble forward and the hands go down. That's a minimum of a 5/10 deduction. Shelley Stack, our only holdover from the last Olympic team, also has a very similar problem, doing a 2.5 twist. Now watch, the critical part, her feet slide out. She doesn't have enough momentum to make this front flip around. Disastrous mistakes for the U.S. team. Back to you, Dick.
1977 was the only other time the United States and Romania met head-to-head women's teams in gymnastics. So much has changed since then. Romania returns without Karolyi, but to Karolyi this year. Camp Karolyi, an hour and a half north of Houston. The past 10 days, the training site for 8 young girls, Romania's finest gymnasts. Not all work, they also caught a glimpse of the American way of life. Some things remain the same no matter where you are. A Karolyi Texas hamburger thousands of miles from their home. The pace here is comfortable, free, and alive. Certainly a different melody from that played in their native Romania. Lines. Lines everywhere. For food, for clothing, for everything. Imagine the hours of wait for products that have doubled in price. And then inside the store, the bare shelves say no. Yet, gymnastics endures. 1989, revolution tears at the country's core to overthrow the bloodiest dictator in the Eastern Bloc. Tens of thousands had been killed. Now, a new government, but unrest and confusion continue. And still, gymnastics endures. The old regime left orphans, thousands, and international tragedy. And still, gymnastics endures. For Romania, this is Gabriela Agaki. We're down to the final rotation. Agaki on the floor, currently in 6th place all around.
Agaki is going to open with a full twisting double back. This is a good position for the Romanians to be in.
Member of the gold medal team, Daniela Silabash.
You saw her do 2 whips into a double full. That's what Kim Zemeskal adds 2 more whips, 4 whips into a double back. Difficulty that they have in the past. Bontage and Nicolita have outstanding difficulty, and from there on in, they're not as superior as in the past.
15-year-old Gabriele Ogaki, the only child of a phone center worker in Transylvania. We'll wait for her score. This is a rotation, the final rotation, where half of the gymnasts are on the floor, the other half in the vault. The Romanians are solidly in the lead at the moment. Reminder to stay tuned. Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. The Family Circle Cup. Gabriela Sabatini, Arantxa Sanchez Vicario in the semifinals. This was the coming out party traditionally for women's tennis, and so it is on the green clay there on Hilton Head Island, and we hope you'll stay with us. Action not only today, but the finals tomorrow live here on NBC. Bud Collins, Chris Everett, and Jimmy Connors standing by. Another conference by the judges, and it is so critical because you really have only 3 judges offering scores, so one score can really skew to an advantage or disadvantage.
And that's why they have the head judge come in.
Wow, 9.833, very high for Ogaki. Next on the floor will be Shannon Miller of the United States. Shannon currently in 3rd place after 3 of the 4 rotations.
And this is a good event for Shannon. I think something that's very impressive about this 14-year-old is she is experimenting with some new difficulty. Her coach, Steve Nuno, told me yesterday that her last tumbling pass that she would try a tucked full in, back out. She's going to open with a full twisting double back in a piked position. Of this U.S. team. She's only 66 pounds, 4 feet 5 inches tall. Each dinner sitting on a phone book. Let's see if she goes for this full twisting double back at the end. She went for it. She pulled it around. It was a little bit short, but this is what the team needs to do. Add this very difficult.
Building toward Barcelona, Shannon Miller.
This dismount at the end of a floor exercise is so hard. She's going to do a double back with a full twist on the first flip like you saw her do off the balance beam. She lacked a little height, a small step.
Corrected it neatly to the delight of Steve Nuno, helping her with body language. Nuno, who
She's the only American gymnast to perform that here today. That's a big step for Shannon.
And the judges recognized that. And now they total their scores.
Good job. You had a good meet today.
She did indeed have a good meet today. 9.883 for Shannon Miller. That should keep her in the top 5 and maybe much higher. And we'll return to Houston in just a moment.
She was
grown 4 inches, added 20 pounds. Now the veteran, a 12th grader, 17-year-old Shelley Stack. She's had a rough day today, particularly on the floor exercise. This is her 2nd vault coming up. She's waiting for the score on her first effort. And then the better of the 2 scores kept. Basically, the team competition boils down this way. The United States is in a hole. For them to beat Romania today, and it has been high-class competition, it will take some mistakes by the Romanians in this final rotation, either on vault or floor, and for the United States from now on to function at a very high level. There's no room for error for the U.S.
We cannot make any mistakes. And it has been a rough day for Shelley. She's going to perform here a round-off approach onto the board, back handspring on, and then a push-off into a full twisting laid-out backflip. She was having problems with this in warm-up.
Her score on the first vault was 9.916. So that does boost the hopes. That gives her some cushion. Bella loved that one. I think Bella's telling the judges he thought that was a 10.
That's one of the best vaults I've seen Shelley do. Look at the height. Her hips rising off the horse. Laid out perfectly. Great landing. Look at Bella's reaction. I think he thought that was the best vault she's ever done also.
That's when it comes to 10. Bella's mathematics aren't always A+. In fact, I asked him how old he was, and it's somewhere between 48 and 50. During the course of this week, he told me he was 48, 49, and 50. And today he said he was born in 40, but in September, and he says, I'm 50. And there's the score, 995.
This definitely helped the United States team. Shelley was having problems on the vault, and she pulled through with an incredible 995.
Now Maria Nicolita, the 17-year-old Romanian.
This is a crucial event for the Romanians now, and she does have the big skill. The most difficult routines being done today, double layout. You'll see right here. Oh.
Stepped out of bounds.
That is a big mistake. Not only did she step out of bounds, but she piked down on that double layout. She should not get credit for that.
Becomes a disastrous floor exercise for Nicolita.
That is a big mistake, and we'll have to see what happens with the other remaining gymnasts. They have room to eliminate one score that can... Here she comes into her last tumbling pass. She had another problem here. She goes into a round-off flip-flop double back. She kicks out of it too soon, pulls it around, and she's out of bounds and a fall. That should be a 5/10 deduction plus an out-of-bound deduction.
Well, your point's well taken, Julianne. Remember, of the 6 that compete on the team, you drop out the low score, so you're allowed one basic mistake, and this would be Nicolita, where the United States had 2 on the floor, and so one of their low scores will count. Kim Kelly and Shelley Stack both had problems and scored around 9-1-9-2.
So now they're in the same position that the United States are. They have to have no mistakes.
We wait for Nicolita's score, and now it is Philippe and her first vault.
This is the only gymnast in the competition to perform a different vault. Handspring front flip with a half twist. It's an excellent landing, but the vault was not very high.
She's almost 5'3.5" by gymnastic standards. That's a giant.
And this is not a strong event for her. In fact, the front handspring front flip with a half you don't see anymore, really. You see the Yurchenko vaults, which everybody else in the competition is doing. It is a more difficult vault. This is not as difficult.
A little information about from Romania.
Here's an overhead shot of this same her vault. Front flip right into a half twist. She just did not have the height and not very good distance, but a good landing.
Second vault.
And we can add the score. Maria Nicolita, 9.116.
That was not as good a ball as the first ball. She had a big step forward.
So 9.883 is the score on the vault for Philippe on her first vault, and now Carrie Strug of the United States, 13 years young.
You can see the intensity in Carrie Strug's face. She must hit a perfect floor exercise routine here.
This is not necessarily her strength, or is it?
This is a great event for
is.
Carrie, so this is a very good position for the United States. Double backflip into reverse direction when the second tumbling pass. And that was a mistake. There will be a deduction on the landing and the stop before that flip-flop. That can make a difference in this all-around team standing.
She finishes strongly. Carrie Strug, the daughter of a cardiovascular surgeon in Tucson, Arizona, 13-year-old powerhouse.
A terrific finish for Carrie Strug, but she had a mistake in the middle tumbling run. Watch here, it almost looks like she lands with straight legs. She almost hyperextends, a step backwards, and she cannot go immediately.
Betty Okino was an interested observer. There she is on the far right.
Oh.
Okino, who is not competing today, a hamstring injury, in case you joined us late, after her sensational performance in Orlando 2 months ago, winning the American Cup. With the score, 9.833, not that bad for Strug.
It's a very good score for that routine.
The pressure's still on the Romanians. They cannot afford a mistake. We'll be right back with the finale. She touched down on her first, so this is very important. The competitive intensity of these young girls to be able to pull out after. All right.
That was a beautiful ball, and that's the name of the game. She touched down on the first ball, and she came through with that second ball.
Now, that's the depth you were talking about, Julianne.
Look at the momentum into this vault. Pushed off, good height, laid out, and a perfect landing.
From above, and you see that unusual angle. This young lady likes to ride horses, much like her coach, Bella Caroli.
Bella liked it.
Let's go, let's rodeo. Well, the United States trying to put the pressure on, but it really rests now as the floor exercise coming up. The final Romanian, of course, they're number one. Performing last, Christina Bontash. And if she brings home a solid performance, then they can throw out the one low score. 9.116 of Nicolita. 9.916, 0.5 of a point higher than her first vault. And now Bontosh.
Bontosh has the skills on this event. She has the big skill, a double layout to open with.
Rock solid.
That was great.
Medley of U.S. music, the Star Spangled Banner, Oh Susanna, Johnny Comes Marching Home. She's number one, Christina Bontosh. Probably has clinched it for Romania, following in that tremendous tradition. Nadia, then Katerina Jabo, Relia Dobre, Daniela Silovash, all great champions for Romania. This is their best going into Barcelona at this moment. Christina Bontosh. Kim Zemeskal, the final U.S. performer on the floor, and that is her strength. In fact, 3 of her 5 tens have come in this event. Bontosh, 9.966. That's the highest score of the day. And when we return, it'll be Kim Zemeskal, the final U.S. performer, and she is going for the individual. Welcome back. It's Kim Zemeskal, floor exercise. The parents, David and Claire, looking on as Zemeskal. This is her strongest event. Needs up 9.73 or better to win the individual all-around title. audience has erupted with a standing ovation. Kim Zmeskal undoubtedly is the all-around champion of this international challenge. Is it a 10? Mary Lou Retton leading the cheers for 10. 9.996. That was better, was it not, than the Romanian star Bontash, but not a 10.
Such a unique tumbling pass that Kim does. I've never seen it done. She's added another whip. 4 of them. 1. Number 4. There's her parents looking on. That was awesome.
Well, Bontash didn't get a 10, and so Zmeskal in this very tight scoring, remember, just one Romanian and one U.S. judge gets the same score, 9.966, but she is the all-around champion, the team winner. We'll have that for you when we return. 9-2 that factored in for the United States on the floor exercise, and the individual all-around won by Kim Zmeskal. Popov of Romania was second, and 2 young Americans, Gribich, the 13-year-old, and Miller, the 14-year-old, finished 3rd and 4th, Julianne.
I think this has been a very important test for the American gymnasts. They have shown that they can compare themselves to the Romanian gymnasts despite some inconsistency. They were right in there head-to-head, and now the big question is, how can Romania and the United States compare to the Soviet Union?
And remember, all along, the U.S. competing without Betty Okino, who was injured. Let's go down to Tim Daggett.
Well, thank you very much, Dick. I'm here with Kim Zmeskal. Kim, I don't know if you know, but you did clinch the all-around title today. You didn't detect that there were just a few people in this building that were pulling for you there, did you?
No, it's really nice having it, in front of a home crowd, knowing basically almost all the audience. That helps a lot.
What did you think? Did you think it was a 10?
Yeah, it felt pretty good, but, it's not my decision, and I did my best.
What about the team? Was it a little bit disappointing going out on the floor and knowing that you had to do a great routine to clinch the all-around, but the team was probably out of reach?
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. We showed that, we're pulling up, and it was really close, and we'll win next time.
Bella Caroli, what does it take right now? The Americans were so close in this competition, but they still fell a little bit short. What do we have to do to regroup and come out on top in Indianapolis and then in Barcelona in a couple years?
And first of all, to have a healthy Betty Okino to line up with the team, a strong and fully shaped other young fellows. What I know, they're out there and they're just waiting to step into the big circuit of the competition. And also we need a fair judging, which in this night, unfortunately, was not there.
Did you think that the judging was a major factor in who won the competition today?
You can believe it. I'm so happy for the Romanians. They got the democracy, but they have to learn to use it on the fair basis. Sure, the judging influenced the whole of this outcome of the team competition. We learn, to be fair with everybody, that other people got to learn it the same way.
Okay, back to you, Dick. Thank you very much.
So Kim Zmeskal is the all-around. Romania edges out the United States. Bontash, the number